The drafting phase between Team Spirit going up against Team Vamos. This is the game where you may experiment a little bit, but a reminder, man, this is where you set the tempo. This is where you set your momentum. Vamos, first pick. Team Spirit, second pick. And looks like Vamos, they ban out the Fanny, the Louis, as well as the Hilda for Team Spirit, betting out the Jushin, as well as the Glue.
So far, we've been seeing a bit of a turnaround when it comes down to blue side and red side from Swiss stage, from the wild card, even with a slight increase in red side win. Second pick for those who don't know. And most of the time, it just comes down to no matter what you look for, unless it is Suyo coming in from blue side, there is so much counter interaction from red.
Yeah, and then you also get to see heroes like the Cho may walk in there. Could be Flex. It's a safety option. We know when it comes to the gold laners, especially Nets, he likes to play a little bit closer compared to Team Spirit's Hiko, the young prodigy.
Suyo is open, Bruno is open as well. And so far, if I'm not mistaken, Hiko is the only gold laner that has not used the Bruno, even when it's open. So that's also an interesting point to talk about here. And Vamos, again, Net's specialty isn't really long-range marksmen like the Bruno. He does like the carry, the Harif, those that plays like a fighter kind of range.
I mean, we say that he plays at a fighter kind of range, but Bruno really excels in those moments to clutch it out. Because again, if we're talking about heroes who can have sudden bursts of HP regeneration, in this case, lifesteal, Bruno usually follows that lane. So they're going to first pick it this time around. They're not going to experiment it and deny it off of Hiko. I would only assume that now, TS, they're going to be looking to kind of set up for a Beatrix comp, maybe a Granger.
Hey, you know what? Listening to the crowd, I think they approve of this pick, Steph Weezy.
I think they do too, and for good reason, right? Bruno has just been very effective so far in M6, but there's been some answers. Some teams choose to ban it out, others choose to work around it. We've seen an Angeline come out in the past. We've seen other things like the Granger to possibly counter it out, or even the Beatrix. So there's still some options on the table to be able to give Nets a little bit of a harder time. But it's interesting seeing Nets run on this Bruno, right? It's a little bit further, especially when you get that Malefic gun to be able to work in his favor. Can definitely be a challenge in the gold lane.
I do think there's a bit of a relationship here, right? Because now that we kind of know where Vamos is leaning in towards that gold lane, we can expect a couple of things from a Team Spirit. Number one, the Beatrix and as well as the Granger. It doesn't have to come out now, so I want to see how they want to build around that. And Matilda and as well as Suyo is a very strong opener for this team.
Right now, looking at the draft, there's two good junglers here. Joy is good against the Suyo, but the Fredrin is good for the Bruno. The Fredrin can defend the Bruno in very sticky situations, and when you have a Fredrin, you're allowed to give some of your farm to the other carries of your team. So now the Matilda, Suyo as well, and Steph Weezy, you mentioned both the Beatrix as well as the Granger, and arguably that's one of Hiko's best heroes.
Yes, it is one of Hiko's best heroes, but at the same time, I was hoping that maybe the jungle spot could be a little bit more flexible here. I expect Vamos to maybe even lean into the Joy a little bit more. Oh, actually, wait. This is a different side of them. This is interesting because I was expecting, if Joy shows up, we're expecting Belarus. But with an early Matilda pickup here, it looks like Vamos has came in prepared for this first phase.
You know, it's interesting because I would have said an Eve could have been slotted in for the side of Team Spirit. But now that you're going up against a Hayabusa and a Sicilian, first of all, Sicilian's going to fight from afar. So it's going to be hard to get it inside of that RWM. And then you have a hero that's very effective of getting to the back line with that Hayabusa. So it may be a little bit of a challenge for Team Spirit.
Let me just say, if Team Spirit doesn't pick up their gold laner here, probably going to get banned out. So they pick up the Granger very, very smart, because I really see a future where Vamos is pretty okay with banning both Beatrix as well as Granger. But now, Team Spirit, what are the options? Because we've seen the Sicilian Carmilla combo, but is that something that Team Spirit will respect?
Well, it's a little hard to say. Yes, it is a very interesting combo, but at the same time, I feel that right now that they've already secured their jungler, the question is, how are they going to take control over the lane? You see the Sicilian, even if you play with the RWM, there's a good chance that, at least from Vamos' side, they could turn into a pure dive composition. And not to mention, Hylos hasn't been touched just yet. I'm expecting one of these teams to get rid of it for the sake of their gold laners.
Yeah, just to touch on that, that's where I was looking too. The Hylos could be very effective here, especially into the hands of Team Spirit, considering you're going up against an assassin. You want a hero that can, you know, maybe you have to stay in the XP lane now since you have the Matilda, but you can still invade effectively to kind of slow down that Hayabusa on these objectives.
I mean, now we see the Carmilla ban. There is, I mean, we've seen it, the Moonlight Waltz really effective combination. Hey, Camilla, just do whatever you want. Worst comes to worst, I'll just suck you back in, put you in a safe spot, and then we can start playing with the rest of the team. So at least from the side of Team Spirit, great preparation in terms of previous drafts we've seen from Vamos. But now that we are seeing the Valentina getting banned out, I would only imagine that they want to really double down on this dive.
Something that we have to see is looking at the lineup from Team Spirit. They're looking very strong in lane here. Granger is pretty strong in lane against the Bruno, but having the Matilda as well as the Suyo, whatever mid laner that they pick up, they'll be able to move around the map very, very effectively, especially to the side lane. So this is something that Vamos has to be careful of. Whatever EXP laner that they have and the roamer that they have need to be able to either withstand the speed of the rotations or be able to slow it down.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a little tricky, but there still are some options on the table. The Aurora's available. We've seen that kind of sneak up into the scene. The Vexana is still up for grabs right now, but we still also got to see what's going to be put in the XP lane for this. Farza, too. That's definitely a wise option, especially with the Wings by Wings. There goes that Cho ban, though. I was wondering when that was going to get knocked off the table, which really leaves this Hylos up for grabs.
All right, Gato Kacha, another pick that Zorn has been using a lot.
Both of which are real good here, but at least for Vamos' side, they're less worried about the Gato in comparison to the Hylos. The Hylos denies you, especially when it comes down to nets, that space to play with. Walking out of it and forcing you to use your slide tackle from sticky situations puts you at odds against the rest of TS, and not to mention, they might even consider just going for Purify at this point of time, but we don't know just yet. As you mentioned, LaFell, the EXP lane matchup, I think, is going to be the big difference maker. Somebody needs to have Concussive Blast, and I would only assume that Vamos wants to focus on their support first.
Yeah, something that is very interesting here, the fact that Vamos is on first pick, they can't really flex their EXP. We can't see something like a Benedetta all of a sudden to match up against Kit Bomba in the EXP. Kit Bomba so far has been using those set heroes, something like an Arlet, so some kind of crowd control enabler for the team, especially now that Sao is on that Matilda. They need some form of initiation. So this is going to be very interesting for Kit Bomba. He can pick up something like the Hylos, a very good front line, but it looks like, yep. He's going to pick up the Hylos. They're going to prioritize just big bodies for Hiko.
Now, a couple of responses from Vamos' side. Either they can go for two setting heroes for both Roam and EXP to kind of force out a lot of spells, and they know that even if one fails, Matilda can pull them out. CC is another good option, but that's assuming that they're going to hard win that lane and actually put resources on that side of the map, which is something that we haven't seen teams do too often. They get a little greedy. They want to win every single lane rather than just focus on two.
You know, and the question is, does Vamos go experimental? Because we have all this in theory. But time and time again, Vamos is a team known to draft outside of the box, right? So I'm really anticipating maybe even the Katat sneaking up in here. It's still available, could be flexed in the Roam or the XP, which would give him a little bit of versatility. There goes the Katat we were looking for alongside the Jawhead.
All right.
So looking for a pickoff here, Gideon.
Yeah, they are looking for pickoff, but they want to play some form of early game. The last time we've seen a similar composition from this from Vamos was when they were up against S2G, and we saw a lot of macro feints to actually snowball that early game. TS, at this point, it's about lane control. If they can control the lane, then the early game is a free bypass.
Now, honestly, this is a very smart EXP lane pickup by Team Spirit because we saw the amount of pressure on the EXP with the Hayabusa, so they're trying to mitigate that a little bit. But now they got to focus on Hiko, making sure that he doesn't get caught. And now, time to draw the beat of the flash. Looks like it's going to be a Joy. Where's the Joy going? Is it going to be a Joy mid? Or Joy, EXP, and then Matilda mid?
Oh, look, I thought Vamos was the experimental one, but looks like it's going to be Team Spirit.
Joy mid!
This is going to be a wild one. Didn't expect that from Team Spirit.
Well, looks like it's time to drop the beat of the flash. Thank you very much to our panelists. But now we're throwing over to Brigida as well as Merkel to call the match.
I love the energy from LaFell, and I'm definitely carrying it over because this is a very important match between the only remaining team from the West up against the so-called Western Team Slayers. Welcome to the caster desk. This is Brigida and Mirko, and we're about to find out what's about to happen in game number 1. What are your thoughts on this surprise Joy in the mid lane by Team Spirit?
You want to know a fun fact?
What?
Right after MSC, I spoke to Bamba. They were trying to find a new jungler for Team Spirit, and he said Sunset Lover might be the guy to take the jungle role. So, hey, I think they are not too surprised about this pick. They know how good Sunset Lover is on the Assassins. Now it's time to prove the world. Let's see if Sunset Lover can pull it off.
Yep, I'm expecting a lot of very aggressive rotations, especially with this Joy in the mid lane. Wave clear definitely wouldn't be a question anymore. So it will be very important for Vamos to keep their side lanes in check. But it seems like they're also being very careful about that. Early leashes coming in from Team Vamos. So we'll see. I mean, it's not just the Matilda which is high in mobility, right? It's also the Joy. So they can really move quick around the map. And again, the panel also mentioned it earlier, there's little to no kill threat in terms of their XP laner. Kid Bomba right now, it's time for him to show that Bomba mentality. This is a high loss. You won't be able to pick him off that easily.
Yep. Definitely not, especially with the Matilda. Yeah, it's going to be really tough. Chibi looking for the early game steal, invade into the enemy jungle. By the way, if you guys want to steal some XP, or rather just claim some XP, go ahead and check out that M6 pass one-shot. Already over to Zorn. Sawo was initiated on earlier. Both the junglers, one-shot, maybe able to get first blood. There you go, one-shot. Claiming it early on, first minute.
And there was no one else who could do anything in that situation. Zorn didn't even decide to use the flicker just yet. It seemed like he just accepted his fate. But where's the trade just now for Team Vamos? It seems like it's more of them just being very careful, and this is a surprise. Team Vamos, as far as I know, they have the highest first blood rate, but it seems like they're the team that we're seeing play a little bit more patient, more focused on letting Nets get his farm, because this is, again, Hiko that we're talking about, so there has to be some respect towards that gold lane.
Now let's take a look at the emblems here. It's the Impure Rage, so quite normal so far. Nothing really crazy. The Temporal Rain as well. Let's look like for Bamba, he will help get a bit more prio in the mid lane, and both of the teams actually just setting up for the neutral objective. Bamba with the Revitalize, already the Glorious Pathway to another Retro Battle. Whoa! One shot, so able to get it. Sunset Lover jumping in the back line with a Vengeance to end the electrifying beats. Zorn very low, last shot over. Unable to find it. Sunset Lover still wants to go aggressive, invading the enemy jungle with this Joy mid.
And I mean, that definitely wasn't something Team Vamos would have had an easy time dealing with. Their Roamer wasn't level 4 just yet. Smooth also isn't level 4 just yet. So they didn't have as much resources compared to Team Spirit in terms of taking that turtle. And that was something we definitely saw, because Team Spirit, even though they were able to poke, or even though Kid Bomba was very, very low, he received the he received the ejector and was thrown under the turret. He was still able to throw out and put out that Glorious Pathway just to zone and even keep all of the members of Team Spirit intact. So now they're clearly in the lead so far up against Team Vamos. They're yet to find a single pickoff even with the Jawhead in their lineup.
This has become a pretty good answer. Oh, what is that damage? That was just a Soul Sever to hold on to Soul Sever. All right, yeah, Vamos have to respect Spirit's damage right now. They're scaling to that mid-game power spike really well, and it's exactly how Gideon put it. If Team Spirit can actually win in the individual lanes and translate it over to neutral objective wins, it'll be very tough for Vamos, because usually it's okay for the composition with Sicilian to be behind here. But the fact that Spirit have so much dive and there's no real response if Sunset Lover jumps in because of the Vengeance, it'll be very difficult. Unstoppable Force, one shot just blinks out of it. An ult baited out.
Yeah, and that's also perhaps why Team Vamos, they feel a little bit limited in terms of the movement that they can do, because who would have thought that they'd have to go up against the Joy in the mid lane matchup? Like, probably even Warlord didn't think. He would have just probably played it very, very safe, but that's the ejector.
It's only on to Bamba though. Sanguine Claws will catch him. That's the full chain CC. Sunset Lover picks up the kill. Chibi wanted to go for the shadow kill, but TS no better than actually force the skirmish. They have the one-man advantage. They will go to the neutral objective.
Oh, imagine even using the ejector and throwing him under the turret, but still making it out alive, and now that's a punish. But Kid Bomba, he seemed very low. Will Smooth be able to out-sustain everything? It seems like he will. That's the Revitalize, but Chibi, whoa.
Sawo, still with the guiding wind. That's a stun over Chibi, gonna be locked down, still able to escape. Smooth jumps into the AOG, one shot. It's very low. Vamos will not continue the chase. They got the kill. That's a pickoff, and now they will look towards the neutral objective. Full control now for Team Vamos.
That felt like Zorn just accepting all of these early kills onto him for the sake of Team Spirit showing themselves up, and Team Vamos finding a way to reset and work around all of the positionings from the members of Team Spirit. But still, that's a Blade Surge going in. Oh!
John's gonna be careful. One shot taken down. The circling eagle from Sawo. They didn't expect 3 members to be in that bush.
That was like, that was the best possible way to actually anticipate and deal with all these aggression coming in from one shot. I mean, for the past 5 minutes, we've seen him just keep on using that Soul Silver head-to-head up against whoever member of Team Vamos that he finds. But then now they have to acknowledge that Team Vamos, especially if they were able to pull out that beautiful chain CC, that layering, similar to what we've seen earlier, they actually have a way to deal with all this. And I mean, for the past few minutes, they've been so focused on making sure that lane doesn't lose in the laning. So they're definitely confident in terms of the damage he's probably able to put out right now. But man, we've been seeing a lot of action here in this mid-river side. I mean, it's almost as if the rotations aren't really happening. It's focused on the mid lane.
You can see one shot there trying to read Chibi's movement too. He has to be careful here. If he stays too long, Chibi and Zorn can actually threaten him with a kill. Chibi going back into the bottom lane. One shot trying to just steal a few of these camps. Zorn doing a good job at delaying it, at least for a bit. But the wave in the bottom lane will be cleared out, and now it's back to just the waiting game. Waiting for the neutral objective. Hiko's farming, Nets is farming. And once we get into the mid game, I guess the question is, who's going to start popping off in these team fights?
Yeah.
We heard just from Skylar that for Nets himself, Skylar's opinion is Nets is amazing in lane, but in the team fights, sometimes he doesn't do as well, you know, compared to the lane.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, for Hiko, it's the opposite. He's great in these team fights.
Yeah, and I mean, even looking at the gold rankings right now, it seems like Hiko's ahead, but Warlord, oh no, wait!
No, Sunset Lover was ejected towards Warlord. Still becomes a kill, but two members are down there. Spirit with control over the turtle. Chibi wanting to go for the retribution here. Smooth needs to get that unblockable. Wants to jump in. Still with skill one shot. That's the shadow kill onto the back. Now jumping back again. Chibi's retribution cannot lose. Bomba with the stun over to Zorn. Rhapsody coming down with a revitalized too. Nets able to dodge away from that skill 1 stun. Now it's the AOG to the back. Hiko gonna be caught as well. Now it's gonna be the quad shadow from the back. Chibi with a flank. The assassination. Nets Ballin Sao down, and it's a win for Vamos.
And when it comes to sustaining the team fights and prolonging everything else, Team Vamos, it seems like they're well equipped to do just that. Oh, the ejector misses. But Sunset Lover, will he be able to clear the lane? Because it seems like he will be bursted down by Team Vamos, and they have their eyes set on taking that mid lane turret.
1v4, 1v5 even earlier. Sunset Lover, without the vengeance, he's got to respect Vamos, man. I mean, at this point, Vamos have damage to actually deal with Sunset Lover. When you don't have the vengeance, you're very, very vulnerable. Chibi as well, just always threatening Hiko here, rotating, showing up, forcing Hiko to fall back a bit. And we can see that Vamos have actually taken control of the mid game.
Yep. Right now, they want, or Team Spirit, they also want to get the trades for themselves. That's a Circling Eagle being used onto Storm, but the Unstoppable Force, will he be able to cancel it out?
That was great. Oh, the AOG as well. One shot able to claim the kill. Hiko goes in with the Rhapsody, but Smooth doesn't care. He gets tickled by the Rhapsody damage.
Man, if Team Spirit decide to play it all together as well, if they go in all 5, you can't expect Team Vamos to find it that easy to position themselves, especially with Sunset Lover constantly on the lookout for disrupting these team fights, and them just being so confident to take out Zorn, who is equally confident in just standing in front of all the members of Team Spirit. But this is a different story we're seeing right now. They're more on the 5-man rotations, so from the bottom lane all the way to the top. And another thing that we really have to take into account is how, despite all the focus that Team Vamos has put towards the gold lane, Hiko's still leading in gold. He's still well protected. I mean, this is the Matilda that we're talking about. So for this Lord that we're looking at, it will definitely be a very important fight for either of these teams to eventually gain the map control that they've been looking for since the, I don't know, 5-minute mark, where nothing nearly seems to be happening just yet.
9 minutes in and we're basically still equal. There's really no lead here. The 1,000 gold lead for Vamos is great and all, but it's still very easily swung back in favor of... Oh, Bomba opening up. Getting the stun over to Chibi. Yo, change CC! Zorn left him, and Chibi got one shot by one shot. Spirit now gotta back away. They have to respect this. Chibi's down, and Team Spirit can just reset and go for the Lord.
I mean, that was a great idea, right? Zorn and Chibi together in that particular brush. Probably they could have went for the sandwich play if Team Spirit had decided to show themselves towards the other side of the Lord pit, but it was a different story. They decided to check all the brushes, and now Zorn, oh wait!
It's a vengeance, and electrifying beats over to Zorn. Smooth pops into Revitalize, now circling eager to lock him down. One shot gets the snipe out to Zorn! Smooth low, poke down. Chibi is back up again. Warlord pops in. The Bat Feast wants to join in the team fight, and Sunset Lover again is in the bottom lane, so TS will decide to reset again.
I just remember that this wasn't... Yeah, it really isn't a Jungle Joy, so the Vengeance, that's an additional layer of problems that Team Vamos would definitely have to deal with. But we're still here in the Lord Pit. They don't want to... Either of these two teams want to give this up. That's the glorious pathway once again, but Smooth will be able to sustain this. He's in the middle of everything. And, oh, wait, it's from behind!
Quad Shadow, AOG, he go the flick around Smooth. That AOG won't connect. The Sanguine Claws will bomb up! One bad impact, Kid Bomba still surviving with just 1 HP, a sliver of health. Warlord's mana is going down quick, but he claims the Lord for Vamos.
Earlier, it seemed like Team Spirit were able to set things up for them to have that Lord take. But Team Vamos, they were just able to buy enough time. They were the ones who were able to turn things around this time, and currently Nets is in the lead in terms of gold. And Team Vamos, they will definitely make use of this Lord, possibly taking out almost all of the inner turrets whenever they gain the chance or the access towards it. This is a very difficult situation for Team Spirit. The sustain that Team Vamos has in their hands and the lack of burst damage that Team Spirit has as of now, it seems like it's starting to become a problem.
Tier 2, number 1, down below, taken out. And you can see the itemization here for Nets too. I think he's building towards an endless battle. He has the mana beats. Zorn walking up, now stunned up. That's a double stun from Bomba and 1 shot, but it is just Zorn. He can take that. 1 shot again with the arrow. It will be TS allocating most of their resources into the bottom lane. A full dive! 1 shot caught on the AOG. Now that's a taunt as well. Going to revitalize from Bomba, but that's going to be a turret taken down. Sunset Lover walking back and forth now in the midst of it all with the Vengeance and the electrifying beats over the net! Sunset Lover! Able to dive all the way. Now it's a killing spree. Hiko gunning them down. Sunset with a triple. 1 shot with a double. Team Spirit had wiped Vamos out.
The definition of punish and timing proven to us by Team Spirit.
Wait. There's no way. They're looking for the end. There's a big wave in the bottom lane. TS, they're going for the gamble. Wait a minute. The minions will spawn. Team Spirit in the mid lane.
Oh, wait.
They're already on the base turret.
Oh, wait. Is this it? Are they actually going for the end? No one's going home. The minions spawned in their base and they're just going for it.
Zorn needs to get the nice shot. Hiko is just targeting the base. One team fight. And they turn it around. They secure game 1 against Team Vamos.
What an unexpected turn of events for Team Spirit. 1 crucial mistake, 1 miscalculated play was all it took for them to end the game in less than 13 minutes.
1 big fight, 1 big moment from Sunset Lover. The jungler who was knocked out by a Malaysian team at M3. Now he plays the jungler in the mid lane. That's the joy in the mid lane with Vengeance. He's still got the mechanics in him.
Definitely, the mechanics were there. So now let's break down what happened in game number 1 together with our panel.
Thank you very much, and that's what happens. This is the life of a Mobile Legends player now. It only takes 1 mistake. Like, this is the definition of life. You do so many things, and people will forget about it. But you do 1 bad thing, that's gonna be the biggest thing that people will talk about. And I kind of feel like people will talk about that.
Oh, it's definitely going to stick for sure. It stings that we lost in that particular way, but why did it happen? Number 1, I gotta give it a Sunset Lover, right? Because in a majority of the early to mid-game fights, he did not want to participate. They were playing 4v5 in a lot of the scenarios, and he was able to get his 3 items on time, find the levels that he needs, and that Vengeance really making the difference for these dives once all the ults and resources had been used by Vamos.
And it's interesting because it was on a little bit of an untraditional method, right? He pulls out the Joy and puts it in the mid lane. And I mean, I guess it worked because technically Joy can get away from all that aggressive gameplay because he has good peel.
Honestly, I feel like the biggest thing is the Vengeance, right? He came in, he dealt the damage. Now, when he uses the ult, right, the electrifying beats, there's some magic resist as well as armor. But when you put Vengeance on top of that as well, and you have some return damage, we saw the hesitation from Nets to keep on hitting because the return damage, like the bigger your damage is, the bigger that's going to reflect. And that was the big reflective damage there. Even Nets was like, I don't know if I want to keep on going.
I think he learned his lesson after that very first Lord interaction. You saw him hitting away at Sunset Lover. He put himself down to a quarter of his HP, and then he had to tap out. It's like, I gotta hit. I'm sorry, GB. I gotta hit your purple. If I don't, I'm gonna die. I need the crits. I need this Haas Claw to work with me. But another genius thing coming in from the side of Team Spirit is the fact that if Sunset Lover can close the distance between him and Warlord, you lose so much damage off of the tip of the bat impact.
And also credits to Sawa, right, on this Mathilda, just keeping the team alive, giving them the additional shielding, and another way for Sunset Lover to go back if he needed some help when getting very low.
Yeah, I would say the critical point is definitely Sunset Lover there, especially with the Vengeance. And looking at the build as well, having that Weapon Master just makes Holy Crystal hurt a little bit more, where we even saw that Zorn got taken down pretty quickly. So this is one of those situations where Vamos looked to be a strong team. They played disciplined throughout the match, especially during that Lord take. But then they just, I guess they didn't count on the Vengeance being up yet. Like they thought, okay, maybe the Vengeance is down, so we can deal with the Joy. But once the Joy jumped in with the Vengeance, GG, lights out.
Yeah, but there's nothing much you can do with it, right? You're hoping that Smooth maybe has a taunt to try and kind of pull the Joy away in the middle of the dashes, but as you saw in that very final fight, Smooth already jumping in very heavily to try and take first inhibitor turret, which I don't think is a bad move. It's actually a very powerful siege tool that Gatot has, especially when you have the artilleryman Sicilian in your backline. But once you are out of ults, that's when you're expecting the clap back coming in from the side of Team Spirit.
Yeah, one small step for Sunset Lover, a huge step for Team Spirit for game number 1 of this best of 5. The last team standing in the West. I mean, even the damage still goes over to Vamos, and it just shows you one mistake can cost everything.
Yeah, and now we got to look at the goal graph here just to show how big of a swing that is. Look at Team Spirit. They actually controlled the game for the first like 6 minutes or so, but then Vamos was able to take the lead, and more importantly, they hold down the lead up until the last moment. That very last moment, look at how fast the dip was. They were 2,200 gold ahead, and then it swung all the way down, and then the game ended.
I think that Vamos in this particular matchup was actually trying to find angles to get in an early snowball, maybe for Chibi, maybe even for Nets in the early game. But I think that Team Spirit, they've done great preparation. You could see the movements on the map to deny them, body block them, always marking each and every man, understanding that if somebody's standing on one side of the wave, we're not falling for any macro feints anymore. We need to keep our minds very elevated and stay on what's important, and that's keeping Hiko alive. Once we get into the mid game, we also saw a bit of personality from Vamos. Hey, you made one mistake, now I'm going to take your mid inhibitor. Now I'm going to start pushing into your jungle. Now I'm going to start taking every turret on the map as quickly as possible.
Yeah, there were a lot of times where you saw Vamos just bounce back, even if they fell on an objective. The defense was definitely there for them to be able to come back and take the Lord away from Team Spirit. A lot of those occasions worked in their favor, but then at that end game toward that push, that's when you got to see Sunset Lover come alive on this Joy.
And now we gotta drop to the beat of the flash, where we're gonna look at the MVP for this game, and I feel like it's gonna be Sunset Lover, because I gotta say that play was the game-winning play. Like if you want to see a play of the day, that's play of the day material for you.
It's so good. It was so very, very good. I mean, look at his item build, right? We know that his emblem was my Weapon Master, but he doubled down on getting not only a Holy Crystal, but even the Blood Wings. And it's important to understand that with this emblem, you're multiplying your damage really, really quick. But he's not just greeting out. He's not like, oh, I want to get a lightning charge. I want to get the extra movement speed. I don't want to cut through with a Holy Glaive. No, he does initiate starting off with the glowing wand. He still understands, hey, I need to reduce your healing first before I can guarantee the one shot.
Yeah, and then he runs the Temple of Rain as well, right? So when he uses that ultimate, that electrifying beats, his ults or his skills are going to go on cooldown, so it's going to be even more damage, and that works really well with a hero that gets up close and personal.
Yeah, like we can definitely see it at Sunset Lover. He was completely fine. If I die, I die. As long as I take someone with me. And he took out 3 people with him, and then the rest, one shot just clean up. We're going to look at the highlights here, and I got to say, this is a good way to start game number 1, where you really can't expect anything, because if you're looking at the game, it starts off with Team Spirit doing well. And Vamos, you know, they were able to recover the lead and then just lose it at the end.
Yeah, I mean, we also have to talk about the full composition coming in from Team Spirit, right? How does all these heroes interact with each other? I would say, yes, it does look a little bit like a dive composition. It's pretty good at diving overall. But the beauty of it is how they run them down. Look, the inhibitor breaks at this point, and once the Glorious Pathway is through, that's when you're waiting for Sunset Lover to jump into that line.
Oh, I just saw a mistake.
Yep, they forced themselves into a choke point, and even worse yet, even Hiko was able to get free Death Sonata shots to allow the rest of Spirit to catch up.
No, that was not the mistake.
Was it the ejector?
Yeah, like he wanted to eject the Joy, but he ejected Nets. Oh, yeah. So Zoran, instead of tossing the Joy, he accidentally